Hi there. I'm Andrea Spillmann-Gajek, and I am so excited to see you all here today. How exciting to be here at this first RevCon conference. I've spent the past 10 years in customer success, building and scaling customer success teams at everywhere from pre-seed companies through Series C. And I've built customer success teams from the ground up, and also taken over and scaled up customer success teams. And most recently, I've been lucky enough to join the executive team at SV Academy, where we recruit folks from underrepresented backgrounds and train them up to be SDRs and customer success associates and place them in companies. In kind of the past decade of my career and more recently working at SV Academy, a couple things have become really clear to me. One is that hiring for CS is absolutely insane right now. I think it always has been, but that's particularly true. Someone said to me last week, Andrea, there are more unicorns than there are CSMs. And I don't know if that's specifically true. I didn't do the math on it, but I think that feeling is definitely there. I know that as I've recruited for folks, I've seen, the same resumes come through at multiple companies, multiple jobs. I'm sure you're all seeing that as well. So on one hand, as we're trying to scale the teams, we're realizing that the existing talent pool is just too small. And at the same time, there's a diversity problem in tech. So I think there were some recent stats last year that within customer success, 1% of customer success managers and customer success team members are Black, and only 7% are Latinx. And that obviously doesn't represent the US population. So on one hand, we're realizing that to build our teams, we're needing to look outside of the existing talent pool. And on the other hand, we're seeing that there's an entire portion of the US population that simply is not represented in tech. And the reason I'm so excited to be working at SV Academy and spending my time thinking about this problem is because I think if we can just bridge those two worlds, I'm here to kind of tell you that it's bridging those two worlds that enables the future, right? That enables us to continue to scale the high-performing customer success teams that we need to. And that also helps us create more diverse, high-performing customer success teams and also companies. But how do we do that, right? Because I think a lot of you here probably are already on board with that idea. But it's hard, and I know it's hard. I've been there, and I wish I were here to give you kind of this like magic pill, right? Here's the, the pink glitter pill, take this and, everything's going to be solved. You'll be able to build diverse teams tomorrow and scale up. It's hard work, but what I'd love to cover today are some of kind of the ideas or some of the things to think about, some of the ways to start, and also the resources that are there to support you on that path. I will admit it is very weird for me to see kind of the number ticking up of people in the room, but not see your faces or not know who you are. So just thank you for being here. I would love to encourage you to use the chat. I'd love to hear from you. I have kind of my ideas of what are some of the challenges and ideas. Thank you. Thanks for introducing yourself. I have some ideas of what the challenges are in kind of both building diverse teams and scaling your CS teams. But can you use the chat as well to say, like, what are you seeing? What's been hardest for you? And then we can address some of those as well. 4 key areas I'm going to focus on. One is kind of team structure and starting with even having the roles that you can open up to kind of additional folks who aren't experienced, who don't have that background of customer success, because that's what we're seeing we're needing to do to start building our teams. Second is recruiting, third is onboarding, and fourth is kind of the ongoing support. I've seen those be the key areas. So first, I think one of the things that makes hiring for customer success so hard is that our teams are the unicorns too, right? We look for folks who have the tech savvy, but can also go sit in a C-suite Fortune 500 meeting and hold their own with executives and, balance escalations and get into the nitty-gritty with end users, and that's really hard. So the first thing that I would kind of suggest, or that's worked for me at least in the past as I try to build up teams, is thinking about how you can break up the work that the team's doing and the roles so that you don't necessarily need that experienced CSM with 10 years of experience doing everything. My background is public health, and in public health, we call it like de-skilling, right? So in areas where you don't have enough doctors and nurses and trained folks, you think about what are the tasks that we can take off, task shifting. What can we take off that can be either systematized or done by folks who don't have that experience? So thinking about that in CS, we've done that already for support, right? We've pulled kind of support out from CS. Don't confuse support and CS, whatever you do. But thinking about what are other areas we can break out. Some things I've done in the past is to pair an experienced enterprise CSM with a less experienced CS associate. And the CS associate could help in pulling data, maybe in managing some of the end users while the enterprise CSM managed the executives, maybe prepping some of the EBR slides, sending status reports, right? What are the things that can be kind of taken down to someone else? Other things as you think about kind of larger chunks of accounts, that long tail of accounts. Is there a way you can systematize? Is it, be it the tech touch, the scaled, the accounts that maybe need less experience and less of that finesse and can be given to someone who's still learning? And then also thinking about, those are just some examples. I think it's very kind of company specific. What are the tasks? How do you break that up? How do you start creating those roles that can be done by folks who, again, don't have 10 years of experience, but can come in and really sink their teeth in? And then also creating the career paths out from there. So creating the career paths from support into customer success, creating the career paths from CS associate, and thinking about how you can kind of create those entry points and then scale people into the role. Very similar to what sales has done with the SDR or the BDR role, is that entry point into sales. So first point, so you think about your teams and your team structure. How do we start to kind of break apart those roles? And also as part of that, and I know this is a hard topic, it's super, super hot topic right now, but thinking about remote. We've had some incredible CS folks who have been in some of the most random locations ever and done really well remote. That will also open up a larger talent pool. All right, so first part, just structuring the roles in the teams so that you can start to think about opening them up to people who haven't done this before. And then the second part is, how do you find folks? And again, no magic pill. It's hard. But one thing that I have found is that you need to look in new places. So a couple companies back, we actually started a CS apprenticeship program, and I had probably half a headcount dedicated to going and building community college relationships across the Bay Area and going and finding alumni groups at all of the different, or like student groups at the different universities. We do this a lot at SV Academy. We have over dozens of community partnerships that we're constantly maintaining and renewing and kind of trying to work through. So kind of finding out, what are the other community partnerships? How can we get out there and help even just make folks aware that tech is a path they can have? I remember having one of our apprentices after we'd given her a full-time offer, sitting in my office saying, Andrea, I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know that this was a career path for me. She had worked at Lane Bryant and said, I just kind of thought my career was going to be like being a manager at Lane Bryant, and that was going to be good. But now, because you found me, we've been able to kind of open up these new roles. So again, first kind of thinking about how do you find these folks? Second, onboarding. One learning I've had across my past few companies is we bring folks in who are outside of tech, kind of going back to first principles. And even just thinking about onboarding, not just for the specific role, but like, what is tech? What is SaaS? How does it work? Where does CS fit? I remember I was probably like a full year into my tech career before I even knew what like marketing did and what the different departments in marketing and how we worked with them and like what all the different roles within sales were. So thinking about team structure, honestly, we even built out at a past company, like, how do you dress? Back in the like days where we actually went into the office. This is something we've systematized through SV Academy as well. We have over 250 hours of training for folks who are new to tech. So that's, one way to do it is to outsource a lot of this work. But otherwise, I think kind of thinking about that onboarding, going back to first principles, and then also kind of ongoing support. So it's not enough to just help someone kind of find someone, bring them into a brand new career path and a brand new company, and onboard them, but then also how are we supporting folks on an ongoing basis? Kind of again, at how I've done this in other companies is to use junior folks who are really, excited to be to have some sort of kind of leadership and mentorship opportunities, be buddies and be mentors. But I think, especially depending on what the makeup of your team is to start, that it doesn't always give everything you need. At SV Academy, we've solved this by having a full year of paid professional coaching for all of our graduates who are getting placed in companies, and also kind of bringing our graduates back to reconnect with alumni, kind of having that support system there, and just having a safe space where people can go. So I covered kind of 4 areas really, really quickly, and I'm excited. I haven't read the comments yet, and I want to dig into those in the last 3 minutes. But 4 key areas to think about, and I'd love to talk about these more. Like, I hope this is the start of a conversation. I'm going to put my email address in here. Please email me. Let's talk more. But the 4 key areas, first, thinking about the team, how to break apart the team, how to create career paths in. Second, recruiting, looking beyond LinkedIn, looking beyond the job boards, but actually kind of reaching out into the community, whether you do that yourself or whether you use a company like SV Academy that has, dozens and dozens of community partnerships already established. Third is that onboarding piece, kind of rethinking how you orient people to kind of an entirely new environment, new culture, new setting. And then fourth is that ongoing support. Is helping folks continue to navigate in that new setting, continuing to feel comfortable, and to have the support they need. All right, I covered a lot. I'd love to hear if there are more questions. There are more unicorns than CSMs. I don't know if that's true per se, but I know that certainly felt true for me. Do we not look for the critical transferable skills that people possess? I think that's exactly it, right? I think that it is kind of, that's sort of some of my point here, is looking for transferable skills. And I talked vaguely about kind of opening up the CS path to folks outside of tech, to folks from diverse backgrounds. And by the way, diversity can mean a lot. In some cases, it means, I think of diversity, like I've hired military veterans as well. Obviously, it can mean racial diversity, gender diversity. It can mean a lot of things. But I think the key to building a diverse team at all is exactly that point, thinking about transferable skills. So yeah, that was a really great point. Building diverse teams of talent from the ground up has been a recipe for success at Property Meld. That's awesome that you've been able to do that Property Meld. In fact, I think I use Property Meld. My landlord uses Property Meld, so it's really exciting to see you here. That's awesome that you look exactly for attributes, characteristics, not experience. I think that's critical, right? And I think some of the pieces that I've just talked about are also how you think about applying kind of attributes and characteristics to help people kind of grow into those roles. Oh, sorry. Okay, you made the comment early on. Yeah, and then the pairing, delicate situation to not place a person of color in a servant role. Yes, I think that's a great point. Yeah, that it's about helping folks develop. Totally agree with you. Yeah, I think it's about not making anyway, it's a very good point. We have a second left. Thank you all. I hope to continue the discussion.